All right, let's get right into the desperate, frantic climax of Lord of the Flies. This is it. Ralph is all alone, the entire island is burning, and the other boys, the hunters, are closing in fast. This is where everything comes to a head, the fight for who's in charge, that constant fear of the beast, and, well, that slow, terrifying slide from being just a bunch of schoolboys into something else entirely. And this quote, wow, Ralph's thinking this while he's hiding for his life, and it hits right at the core of everything. I mean, that's the whole point of the book, right? That razor-thin line between the rules that hold society together and the darkness that's always waiting to pull it all apart. So let's really dig into how this final chapter just hammers that terrifying idea home. Okay, so before Ralph becomes the one being hunted, he and what's left of his little group decide to make one last desperate stand for civilization. But his tribe is in absolute ruins. After Jack's raid, they're cold, they feel totally beaten, and poor Piggy, he's left completely blind without his glasses. The whole power dynamic on the island has completely flipped. I mean, just look at how bad things are for them. It's just 4 of them left, and without Piggy's glasses, there's absolutely no way to light the signal fire. And that fire was their one and only lifeline, their only shot at getting rescued. Piggy, the guy who's always been the brains of the operation, is now physically helpless. Meanwhile, over at Castle Rock, Jack's tribe has everything. The fire, the numbers, the weapons. They're holding all the cards. So what do? Well, Peggy comes up with a plan. And honestly, it's a plan that is both incredibly brave and just tragically naive. He wants to walk right into Jack's fortress, not to start a fight, but to talk, to reason. He still believes, he has to believe, that he can appeal to their sense of what's right. He's going to hold the conch, that symbol of their old rules, and just ask for his glasses back. These are pretty much Piggy's final defiant words on the whole thing. And it's such a powerful moment, isn't it? He is completely rejecting the new law of the jungle, that might makes right. And he's making one last stand for the idea of justice. He is betting everything on the hope that somewhere inside Jack and his hunters, they still remember the difference between right and wrong. And well, it was a complete and utter disaster. That whole appeal to reason, it falls on deaf ears. The conch gets smashed to pieces. He's killed. And Ralph, he has no choice but to run for his life. That last little symbol of the world they came from is just gone. And with it, so is the voice of reason on the island. So this is Ralph's new reality. He's not a chief anymore. He's not even in a tribe. He's an outcast. He's wounded, he's all alone, and now he's being hunted like an animal. The game is officially over. Now it's just about survival. So here he is hiding, trying to figure out how badly he's hurt. The book gives us this really grim picture of him, scratched and bruised from his flight. He's physically beaten down for sure, but the bigger thing is that he is completely and utterly alone. The entire island, every single boy he crash-landed with, is now his enemy. So, under the cover of darkness, Ralph makes a super risky move. He sneaks back towards Castle Rock. He's not trying to fight. He's just hoping he can talk to Sam and Eric, the twins, who've been captured and forced to join Jack's tribe. He has to know what Jack is planning. And the twins, they give him the terrifying news. This isn't just about chasing him off, no. Jack is organizing the entire tribe for a full-blown, island-wide manhunt. The plan is to form a human chain and just sweep across the island until they find him. There's going to be nowhere left for him to hide. Ralph asks the question that we're all thinking. He just can't wrap his head around what they really want. I mean, being an outcast is one thing, but what are they actually going to do to him if they catch him? The answer is so much more horrifying than he could ever imagine. And then the twins tell him something that is just bone-chilling. They say Roger has sharpened a stick at both ends. Now, let that sink in for a second. When was the last time we saw that? It was for the pig's head, right? The Lord of the Flies. One end is stuck in the dirt, the other holding up a head as some kind of sacrifice. The implication here is it's absolutely horrific. They're not just going to hunt Ralph. They're planning on doing the exact same thing to him. As soon as the sun comes up, the hunt is on. This is it, the climax of the whole story, the cry of the hunters. It's just this terrifying, relentless chase where all the savagery that has been slowly building up is finally unleashed on one single person.
The hunters figure out where Ralph is hiding, and their first move is just pure brute force. They push a massive boulder off the cliff, trying to crush him in his hiding spot. And get this detail. As the rock is thundering down, destroying everything in its path, the tribe is cheering.
And this chant just says it all, doesn't it? They're all working together like a single-minded machine that is just focused on one thing: destruction. The individual boys are pretty much gone. They've been replaced by this unified, savage tribe. It's not really about Jack or Roger anymore. It's about the hunt itself. When the rock doesn't work, they move on to their next idea, and it is just disastrously short-sighted. They decide to set the whole island on fire. In their frenzy to get Ralph, they are literally destroying their own home, their shelter, their food, everything, all to smoke him out into the open. For Ralph, this is the absolute breaking point. The book says he became fear. It's not just an emotion he's feeling anymore. It's what he is. He's just running, blind with panic, through a burning forest with the terrifying cries of the hunters echoing right behind him. So he bursts out of the smoke and the fire and just collapses onto the beach. He's on the ground, totally expecting to feel a spear in his back at any second. This is the end. But when he manages to look up, he doesn't see a painted savage standing over him. It's a naval officer, a grown-up, a guy in a clean, crisp white uniform just standing there like a ghost from another world. And the irony is just, it's almost too much. Think about it. That signal fire Ralph was obsessed with keeping lit, it never saved them. It was the out-of-control wildfire, the one they lit to murder him, that finally got a ship's attention. Just wow. And the officer's first words just show how completely clueless he is about what's really happening. He looks at this group of dirty kids with handmade spears and just assumes they're playing some kind of game. He has absolutely no idea that he just stumbled into the middle of a deadly manhunt. He can't see the savages. He only sees the children. This final scene, it isn't really a happy rescue. It's more like a devastating crash back to reality. The arrival of the adult world suddenly forces the boys, and us, the readers, to really look at what they've become. And the difference between what the officer sees and what Ralph knows is just, it's like two different universes. The officer looks and sees a semicircle of little boys. He even compares it to a fun adventure book, The Coral Island. But Ralph, he looks at that same circle and sees painted killers. The officer jokes, having a war or something, like it's a game. But Ralph has just survived a real one, and he's seen firsthand what the book calls the darkness of man's heart. And that's why Ralph starts crying. It's not tears of relief. The officer is kind of embarrassed for him. But Ralph isn't crying because he's saved. He's crying for everything that's been lost. He's grieving the end of his own innocence, the awful realization of what people are capable of, and maybe most of all, for his friend Piggy, the voice of reason that no one listened to. So we're left with this one big question. The whole time on the island, the boys were terrified of some monster, some beast hiding in the jungle. But these final horrifying chapters make it painfully clear that the real beast, well, it wasn't something they could ever hunt and kill. It was something they brought to the island with them, inside themselves all along.